are. Okay. So I've been doing this kind of technique for a while, the Photoshop composite stuff, and I think just this semester I kind of figured out what it is that the reason that I'm interested in it, or at least I put it into words, and I've kind of been comparing it to like there's a couple thoughts that go in my head, but I kind of think in a way it's really unrealistic and it's not natural, but in a way I think it kind of is more realistic in some ways, because when I first came to Richmond, or if there is really a nice sunset or something like that, I feel like my memory of it is always like I remember the sunset, and I remember like how cool like the highway looked or something, and I kind of have that image in my head when I leave that place later. It's like a good memory. So I put these all together, like I take them all at different places, and it kind of, I'm trying to make what it looks like how I remember something, or how I remember my first impression of a place being. So I think that's a lot of the motivation behind these things, and it's kind of making me feel better about them being unrealistic and like not worried about them looking fake. I think that they look really pretty, but that's always the thing that's always kind of held me back from wanting to do them, is that people will be like, oh, that's fake, like that's not real. But yeah, so the technique is just cutting and like doing a lot of outlining and stuff, and then moving images. And I think stuff that helps it is when I do like mirroring, because that's it, instead of it just being like changing the sky, like if you put little mirrored images in the clouds and the water and stuff, it helps a lot to make the two different pictures combine into one. Same with the shadowing behind people and stuff. And I thought a lot about people in the pictures, because if I am thinking like that, like it's my memory of a place, then do I want it to just be like the place, and like, because this feels more like my point of view, like you kind of put yourself at like behind the camera a little bit more than here, where you're totally like, is this cart like racing out of the city, or are these people like walking towards something? And I started to kind of like put out all the pictures that had people in them, but when I look at these as a whole now, I totally think these two are the strongest, and they're the only ones that have human figures in them. So I kind of think that it's okay now, and I want to start like doing more stuff with characters, because I think it just helps the audience, instead of like looking at it like from the camera's perspective, like it kind of helps to lead you through it when you can look at another person in there. I was kind of wondering what you all thought about that too, but that's pretty much all I had to say about these.
I'd say, just because like this is, you know, a really cool technique called like set extensions and stuff, and that's how they do that in like movies, and it really is important to have people and stuff like that to sell the realism. So I think you should keep them in there, because it makes it a more believable image, but it's still surrealistic.
I think it's cool. I heard one time where it's like you don't know how like, I don't want to say like awesome, I can't think of the word, but like when you're like with somebody and you like really like them and you like having an interesting experience, you don't really understand that until after you're like you've gone.
Yeah. And
that's kind of like what this is, but with pictures, and I like completely understand it, because there's been times when like I've seen something like this and this is how it looked in my head, or like I thought like I want to take a picture of this and like paint it or something, or like do something like this where you're making it so it is what you thought like it could be, sort of. It's like I don't get the whole like, oh, it's just pretty. I'm getting like what you're saying. I like that.
The first two, when you were putting them up, like the first two, I just thought they were pictures at first.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was just like,
Yeah,
I know Richmond has really epic sunsets. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
I was like, yeah, okay, I can buy that. And like I could see the same like clouds in both, and I was like, I wonder if that's just, but they're kind of like a little different.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, all right. So he went on the same day and took these pictures. That's the same bridge too, isn't it?
Yeah.
The first two, so I was like, that's sweet. And then I saw the third one, and I was like, that's not what politics. That's he fool.
Did you do any light? Because what I'm
the
the third picture here, I don't think the people makes it that picture strong. I think what makes it strong is there's like a connection between the lighting on the building and between the sky. Did you do that yourself, like with these pictures?
Yeah. That was a huge thing I like realized right before the end, and I hadn't done it on anything else before. But gradient
It makes a huge difference, like between these and like the last ones you showed us. Like that makes a huge difference.
Like I finished exporting all of these and I had them ready to go. And then on my last one, I think it was this one, I did a gradient layer on top of everything. So I dragged it out like pure white here, just on top of the building, out to here, and it made a huge difference. So I went back and did it from here to here, and there, and it makes it way more like.
It feels more like a dimensional place than like the flat. Like that's what was about the last photos that you had, was they didn't feel like dimensional, but these do.
Yeah, I like the third one. I think the third one's the least like believable of them all in the real picture. And I think that makes the most. I think I like that one the best because of it. Like the first one just looks like a straight up picture, or like an HDR picture maybe.
Yeah.
And it's a gorgeous picture, but I like knowing that it's surreal and like faked. Like that you went in and did the attention to like add shadows and add people to try and make it not more believable, but more like a place. More like it's not a real place, but it feels more like a place. It's just like a really that scene in Donnie Darko when it's like dreaming about the school that flooded, and there's like it's just like the lockers and there's like a brilliant blue sky, it's just like the ceiling of the school. Like it's not believable as a place, but it feels real enough. And that's what I think the third picture does more than any other.
Yeah, like with this, and I kind of like was justifying it to myself too, because there's like, when I was making this cut around the people, and I was like, I don't know if I should alter it, like if it should just drop off at the end of a parking lot. But then I was like, I'm like my memory or like my concentration is Pollock building and like the parking lot. Like that's what this whole picture is about. So I was like, nobody really cares about like the dumpster and the truck and the little mulch back there. So
I guess it feels more than anything, it's like that city in Inception.
Yeah.
Like it's got that feeling, like this fake city that like you're actually in it.
Cool. I think we'll thank y'all. Moving right along.